Uh, my name's Carl Gravatt. I'm the miller of Charlcote Mill, and I make flour. And all the flour was produced as it was 100 years ago. Okay, we don't actually know the age of this mill. So this mill we think was built around 1752. And there's been a mill on this site for over 1,000 years. So this is the modern mill, if you like. So everything here is done the old-fashioned way. Everything's water-powered. Everything's moved by hand or by machine, or by the mill itself. I keep it going. So bread went with every mill, going back hundreds of years. So mills are so important to the community, and so the produce was all very local as well. So it was local wheat grown locally, milled locally, and then went to the local community. And that's pretty much what I do today. I don't send flour anywhere. I personally deliver it. So you get the whole process pretty much from one person. You've got pastries, you've got cakes, bread. There's so much that flour is involved with and is a part of, and it's a very unique ingredient because it is so widely used. The smell of freshly baked bread is just amazing, isn't it? You walk into a house that's got that, and it just smells amazing. It makes you want to eat something, doesn't it? I think there's a huge trend going back to traceability and knowing where your foods come from, knowing what's going into your food and your produce. People want to know what it is they're buying, and it's also they want to know the history behind it as well. So you're not just buying an ingredient from me, you're buying into that 1,000 years of milling history and the traditional techniques which I'm helping to preserve, as well as other mills up and down the country to keep a lovely old-fashioned product, still supplying sort of homes and businesses the same way as it always did. So yeah.
So many thanks, Peter, for taking the time to participate in our little feast. And to start with, maybe what would you say constitutes a festive bread? And what are the differences with the daily bread, which form the staple food for many people in Europe?
I would like to start this little story at around 1800, when the world started to change radically. With political, economic, social, cultural transformations, all these things we know. But these have affected the production, the consumption, and the meaning of bread, and also of festive breads. I would classify the bread sorts according to 4 big categories. And each category was consumed by a specific class. So the first fine sort of bread was the fine wheat bread that was consumed by the rich. Mind, I'm talking about the early 19th century. Second category was a coarser wheat bread for the middle classes. Third came muslin bread for the lower middle classes, and muslin is a mixture of wheat and rye. And finally, there is the rye bread for the bulk of the people in Europe. That would be the working class and the poor. Now, these are 4 categories of bread that are common, that are consumed every day by these 4 layers. Now, to answer Bert's question right away, the bulk of the people, the working class and the poor, having rye bread every day, their festive bread would be the fine wheat bread. End of the answer of this question. Mind, this is the first half of the 19th century. So festive bread for the most of the people in Europe would be white bread, wheaten bread.
So something you don't have every day, something that you see some of the better off people having, that would be something you would aspire to and would enjoy having.
Exactly. And we have testimonies of that in literature and also in paintings, but also in social inquiries. When people are asked, working class people and poor people are asked, what do you have? Which sort of bread would you have? They would answer, well, it's very plain, it's very common, it's rye or muslin bread, that's it. But on some occasions, and we will talk about this, which occasions, they would have white bread. And that was really something special because the image of this white bread was the bread of the rich.
So shall we maybe then move to the occasions? We talked about, the time of the day when people might have bread, but what are the sort of typical occasions when you would shift your normal everyday routine and try to have something better or more distinctive?
What happened was that the very old special occasions for people who were feasting were since long in Europe very traditional. It's the change of the year.
Okay.
Year to New Year.
Mm-hmm.
Festive occasion, and people would have, if you are rich, you would have very special things. If you are less rich, you would have enough food. Then there would be Carnival. I think it's called Fat Tuesday in English.
Okay.
That in February, that is. Then in Catholic countries, you would have the Communion, which is in March.
Yeah.
You would have Easter. Then you would have something like midsummer.
Okay. So in every season, it's not like bread is something that you have more in the winter and you never have in the summer, because it's all year round. There are some special occasions.
Yeah, and then there was Christmas. So this is the year all round that there would be special occasions to have festive bread. And perhaps the best example of all these special breads is the Easter bread.
Okay.
Because Easter is always linked to eggs, right? Eggs as a symbol of the renewal of life, the eternal life, the rebirth, etc. And very often Easter breads, they have a very clear shape, recognizable shape in most of our countries, and these Catholic countries, and very often they're depicted or shown with eggs.
Okay.
And to make it very clear that this is a very particular bread. And this bread nowadays is produced in Belgium and also in France, in parts of the Netherlands and Germany, on this very special occasion and not in the other periods of the year.
Is there still a festive bread culture today? Or is it now all festive, all mixed up, everything at the same time?
Because most people buy bread nowadays in the supermarkets. Going to a supermarket, you see all sorts of bread, healthy bread and organic bread, name it. And also the old festive breads. Yet, there are still nowadays, and bakers, small bakers, they advertise with their special breads for special occasions, saying you can only buy this bread at this moment with me, not in supermarkets.
Okay.
So I have advertisements to show and to prove you the point that there is still festive bread.